All right, so in the last lesson, we practiced using the read CSV method to import our two CSV files, the Pokemon file and the Google stock price CSV file. And here I have the code from the previous lesson. I'm just going to re-execute it to ensure we begin from the same page. And I'm going to follow this process throughout all of the lessons within this module that utilize these CSV files. So let's introduce two new methods, the head and the tail methods, and they are both called on a series. So let's begin with Pokemon. I'm just going to write the variable that's storing our series. As always, we place a dot, and then we write the name of the method, which is head. So what head does is give us a brand new series with the first 5 rows. So we know in the last lesson where we output all of Pokemon, it showed us the first 30 rows and then the break, the gap, and then the last 30 rows. But we don't always need to preview everything. Sometimes we just want to get a sense of what the data looks like from the top. And so what we can do is call the head method, and it's going to give us the first 5 rows of our series. Now here's what's interesting. This, you may think of it as, oh, it's just taking a chunk from my original series, and it is. But behind the scenes, it's returning a brand new series object. So it's not just kind of focusing the lens on the top of our series. Rather, it's taking those 5 rows, making a copy of them, and giving us a brand new series here. So we can save this result to a brand new variable, and it's going to store a 5-value series instead of our original one. So it's creating a brand new object. This method is operating on our Pokemon series, and it's returning to us a brand new shortened series with just 5 rows. Now the head method also takes an optional argument. The default, you can see, for its single parameter, which is n, is 5. And that specifies the number of rows to return in this new series that's generated. So whenever we leave the parentheses blank, it's just going to give us the first 5 rows. If instead we give it a value like 3, that's going to return the first 3 rows of our series as a new series. So there we have our first 3 rows. If I wanted the first 8 rows, I could put an 8 in here. If I wanted the first 11 rows, I could put an 11 in here. If I want just the top row, I could put in 1. And that's just going to give me a brand new series. So the head method returns a new series that's based off the top of an existing series. The tail method, as you might guess, is the complementary method. It takes rows from the bottom of a series. So if I do Google now, and do .tail, and it's a method, so it requires parentheses. By default, if I give it no new argument, the default argument is 5, so it's going to give us the last 5 rows of the Google series as a brand new series. If instead I want the last 10 rows, I can do 10. If I want the last 6 rows, I can do 6. And if I want just the last row, I can put in 1. So the head and tail methods can be called on any series. They just return rows from the top or bottom of that respective series. The default argument for its parameter, which is n, is the number of rows to return. That default is set to 5, but if you want to return an alternate number, you just feed it in within those parentheses. So just give it an integer argument, and it'll return that number of rows from the top or bottom. So that's the head and tail methods that are available on our Pandas series objects.